Since the translations of these chapters were released at the same time, I might as well just cover both of them at once. So, that being said, I'll start with Retrace 100, Osea. Now, I didn't know what the word Osea meant, so I looked it up. According to Dictionary.com, it's an alternative version of a passage in a musical score. So, as the title of the chapter, I'm thinking it coincides with the alternative way to save the world, that being Oz and Company's plan, which was explained in this chapter. So, their intent is to isolate the core of the Abyss by destroying White Alice's body so the core can go back to being how it was before Levi screwed it up, and so they can use the core's power to keep the world from falling apart. It makes sense, especially considering White Alice's wish, which is, to stop being the intention of the Abyss. But I have a strong feeling it's not what's going to happen at all. The plan's going to get messed up somehow. It can't be that simple, especially with the core going berserk like it is right now. It seems like the final quote-unquote villain of the series is the core of the Abyss, and I feel like that's oddly fitting, though I can't explain why exactly. It is good to see that they're explicitly planning on carrying out Brake's goal with keeping Alice from being the intention of the Abyss and everything. I don't think I have anything else to say about Retrace 100. I feel like it was more of a build-up chapter to Retrace 101, so I'll move on to the main event here. Retrace 101, Oswald. I didn't expect the callback to Retrace 39 in this. I wouldn't say it was necessary, but it was a nice touch, giving that scene some context. I noticed that scene when I was rereading, and it stood out because it really came across like Oswald was the one losing it. But looking at it again, yeah, you can see it's just Oswald really frustrated and struggling inside. Oz's reaction to seeing Lacy was unexpectedly touching, and that's because I forgot how close he himself was to Lacy, considering everything else that's been going on, and how his bond with Alice has been the one that's been emphasized most, especially lately. That look on his face just brought all of his past rushing back, and it was a surprise for me because I forgot about it, and it made that more emotional because of that. I did notice another thing. For when Oswald himself was approaching Lacy and about to kill her, Oz kind of stretched out his hand and then stopped himself from interfering. I found that odd on the first read, because this whole time he was trying to stop Glenn from changing the past, and here he was as close as he was going to get to changing the past, and it's purposely shown Oz about to interfere and then stopping himself. Why did he stop himself? Did he sense that Oswald wasn't going to do it? I'm not sure, honestly. I wonder if we're going to get elaboration on why he stopped himself later on. We've gotten elaboration on tons of other things that I never expected, so maybe this will get something too. It still works as a powerful moment because of him stopping himself like that. He might have just wanted things to play out how they would, as considering they got so close, he got so close. But we'll see if it's elaborated on or not. Speaking of Oswald himself, that's what the chapter itself is mainly about. Oswald failing to kill Lacy was wonderfully done. The translations of Retrace 100 and Retrace 101 being released at the same time actually helped flow into it. I liked how his hesitation just kept piling onto him as he got closer to realizing his goal. He couldn't attack Alice some chapters ago because she reminded him of Lacy, his regret over him acting as the head of the Baskervilles instead of acting as her older brother, piled onto it too. And then this chapter, we got her last words to him revealed, which were, "I'm sorry." And considering it's Lacy saying "I'm sorry," that holds a lot of impact too, and you see him reeling from that while he's falling down the memory tunnel, whatever it is. And the most memorable image of the chapter, I think, was the last smile Oswald gives her as younger Lacy and younger him are walking away or running away, and Lacy waves bye to him. That last smile he gives is heartbreaking. He loved her so much, and you can see every bit of it in his expression, and it sticks, and it had me tearing up. And that's the moment of the chapter, I think, the definitive moment. And Jack's reaction to Oswald dying is one of those small touches that I think make the story as good as it is. It really stood out in the chapter too, not just because it expands on what we learned about Jack in Retrace 99, not just because it arguably confirms that Jack really did care deeply about Oswald, but what really stood out to me, oddly enough, was Oz's expression of sad understanding after Jack answers. Oz has gotten to be more familiar and civil with Jack, whether he likes it or not. And seeing that reaction of his, that sad expression, is really powerful in its own way. It really amplifies the moment of Oswald's death. Well, not death, more like disappearance, since he's technically already dead. Regardless, I loved that small moment of interaction between Oz and Jack. And it was nice that we got a confirmed consequence of Oswald hijacking Leo's body. Because that was left open for a while, and we weren't sure exactly how he was able to hijack Leo's body, or how long, or whether there were any restrictions on it, and why past Glens haven't done that before. This is why. And Levi seemed to know about it beforehand, so that little nugget of information must have... maybe Oswald did know about it, because he seemed like he was conscious of the self-destructive route he was going down, but Leo didn't, and so we didn't. Speaking of Leo, Oz and Leo's conversation, if you could call it a conversation, a civil conversation, did kind of break the solemn tone the chapter had been going by the whole time, and it did catch me off guard. But I wouldn't really say it's an issue with the chapter, like I've seen several others say. I can kind of understand why they would feel that way, because the chibi art style coming out of, not coming out of nowhere, but appearing in this chapter was a little bit jarring. But I think it works because the kind of angry comedic tone it has shows that the two are now firmly friends and equals again. Or maybe not again, but for the first time, because beforehand they bonded and everything and they talked, but Leo always had this hesitation a bit. But now they're just being completely and utterly open with each other and bashing each other's heads in and all that, and all's good and all's fun. And now Leo's arc is complete. So Leo's arc is complete, Oswald's gone, and he couldn't go through with his plan. All that's left now is the confrontation with the core of the Abyss and preventing the world from falling apart. All I can say is, bring on Retrace 102. I want to see where this goes, and I'm still not sure where it is going to go. Still have no idea what Oz's deal with Jack is. But hopefully we'll find out next chapter, or if not next one, just, the one after that. There's probably only 2 chapters left, considering there's not a lot of plot left to wrap up. Anyways, see you next chapter.